and we're on Facebook Live. Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us. Today we will be talking about African animation, and we called it Africa Animated, which I thought was quite funny because we could all be quite animated, as you know, as a people. So for us to look at our work and look at animation in that context would be wonderful. We have with us today people from different parts of our wonderful continent. We've got Mozambique, Nigeria, South Africa, and I know, so we don't have, I thought we were going to have somebody from Kenya and Uganda. Notwithstanding, the idea is really to give people an indication of what is happening in this wonderful sector of animation. We know how Nollywood exploded and surprised the world. And we believe that African animation is very quick and not very far off from that explosion, as is what is happening in Nollywood. So I would like to start off, Lynette, if we can, with you, just because of the context of the Film and Publications Board. And I know that there are several of your type of organizations on the African continent. I also know that the FPB has reached out to other entities on the continent so that we could have a framework around content for not just children, but in general. So could you tell us a little bit, Lynette, about yourself and the work that you do at the FPB?
Thanks so much, Firdaus. I'm going to be sharing a presentation as well, but as that comes up, I'll just introduce the organization. So the Film and Publication Board, as you said, is based in South Africa. And we basically are a content regulator. So I wanted to just give you a brief sort of update information on what we do. So as a content regulator, we basically regulate in the film and gaming space, where animation falls, I think, under both of those. So the main aim of what we do is not to censor, because in South Africa, with our laws, we don't censor, but what we do is regulate, which means that we put age ratings onto films and games, and that's basically done to protect children from harmful content and also other vulnerable groups, so things like hate speech is quite big when it comes to your LGBTQI communities. And also we provide a service to the public in South Africa, and we work with other international groups as well when it comes to child sexual abuse material and trying to keep that out of our spaces. We also then provide consumer advice. So basically when we regulate, what we do is we assign age ratings. So the age rating then tells you as a parent or a citizen that kids can watch certain things, based on the ages. We also then assign ratings that will tell a viewer in advance that the content you're about to see has violence in it, has bad language, has nudity, sex, all those sorts of things. So our core objectives then is we regulate in terms of creation, production, possession, and distribution of content, specifically films and games, and only in South Africa. But as Firdaus was saying, we work with a lot of regulators that do similar work across the continent and also internationally. And it's about protecting children, and it's in a large part also about social cohesion and trying to ensure that we don't have things like hate speech, incitement to violence, that sort of thing going out into the public and destabilizing the country. So in terms of our regulation role with content, what we do is we call it classification. When we're assigning the ratings. And we basically have what we call the classification guidelines, which is very thoroughly researched. And this is the basis on which we classify, so that we try and have what we call the least restrictive age rating on content. So we try and not curtail how far a creative can the audiences that they can target. So we try and be as least restrictive as we can. And we've been doing this for about the past 20 years, using these well-researched guidelines. We call on our legal experts, psychologists. We do a lot of public dialogue and discourse also just to try and understand what are our social norms in South Africa. So it's very well researched. Our process, I'm not going to go through all of this because I don't have too much time, but just to show you that, you know, it is a well thought out process, and there are elements of quality assurance. We also have what we call the appeals tribunal. So if a distributor has been given a specific age rating on a film, for example, and they are not happy with it, they can take it to the appeals tribunal, and that does happen from time to time. So these are the types of ratings. So it'll either be all ages or parental guidance, or we then have different age categories. So 7 to 9, 10 to 12, and then you're 13, you're 16. And also obviously, I'm not going to go through all of these, but this is just to show you that when we classify, all of these age ratings have got specific definitions and specific guidelines for our classifiers that they have to follow. So what I really wanted to get to was just to show some of the trends over the last 3 years. And I think this, your animators, especially the South African animators that are with us, will find interesting. So this just basically shows you the decline that we've had in the number of content that is being submitted to us for classification. You'll see there specifically our international submissions have declined over the 3 years by like 22%. Local has declined by a lot less, by 6%, Bollywood by 8%, and Nollywood by 4%. And this just shows the trend, especially in South Africa, and I'm sure the rest of the continent and globally, that things are moving online. So your physical distributors are actually not as big as they used to be, and there's less content being consumed at your physical cinema or through a DVD, and more and more content is being consumed online. So for your animators, that's where you need to be, is focus more on the online side. Then we also wanted to show you, just in terms of the different types of content that we've classified over the past 3 years. And you will also see then that there has been sort of a decline in our general content. The gaming content coming through is also down by about 5% over the 3 years. Our adult content has stayed stable, but it's a very, very small number of adult films that are being sent for classification, which is very interesting. Publications, we don't really classify upfront. We only classify if we get a complaint from the public. So in terms of publications, it's mostly your adult publications. The South Africans would know, like Hustler and those sorts of magazines, and those we pre-classify. So those are not a lot. We only had sort of 3 in the last 3 years. The big thing for us that we've seen is that our film festivals are actually increasing. So we also pre-classify films that are shown at film festivals. And this is for us quite an interesting sign that our up-and-coming young filmmakers and content creators in general have a platform in South Africa, because the film festivals appear to be growing, which I think is a healthy sign as well for the industry. And then just wanted to show you in terms of the age ratings, we also wanted to point out to content creators that there are certain gaps in the market that are there for you to utilize. So you will see that the number of films basically that are rated for your sort of 13, 16 ages are quite high, but there's a bit of a gap in the all ages and the parental guidance and the younger kids. So if you're making animations and you're wanting to have a big market in South Africa, those are the ages that you need to be focusing on, because there's a gap in the market. Then also a similar thing in terms of gaming, where you will see that there's a lot of games rated PG. So we never rate a game as all ages, because we always want to have parental guidance, specifically because gaming is so consuming. So the other ages then that are quite low in number is your 10 and your 7 to 9. And you'll see the bulk of the content in gaming is for sort of your 13, 16 and up. Yeah, so I think we do also, just to highlight, we have recently also undertaken a process to amend our laws. And that specifically is to bring things like your online distribution on stream, which was never part of our law before. We also have now, with the new law, we will be able to take action on things like revenge pornography online, which is not really in the film space, but it is something that is becoming a bigger and bigger issue in South Africa. And we hope in future to also be able to expand it to things like cyberbullying and all, the social ills that happen online, just to make sure that our communities are safe. And basically, we do a lot of training as well for those. So if there are any animators specifically from South Africa or any content creators, they're welcome to contact us for more information on how we regulate. I think it's important for content creators to actually know about this side of the value chain. I think it's not well known, and it does sometimes impact on where and how you can reach your audience that you would like to reach. And that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynette. That was fantastic. I'm sorry that you felt like you had to rush through it, but we will.
No problem. Sorry.
Because it's on Facebook Live, it's available all the time and people can go back as they need to. Adamu, I'd like to come to you with your project, your Nigerian story, which I think is wonderful as a follow-up around children's content and what you managed to do over the last period. Welcome and tell us about your work.
Hi, good evening or good afternoon, whatever. Good morning, everyone. My name is Adamu Waziri. My company is called EVCL. We're based in Nigeria. And the main product we produce is a children's brand called Bino and Fino, which started out about maybe 10, 11 years ago. And I'll try and share my screen briefly. I'll keep it short and sweet. Here we go. Let me just find this for you. Here we go, right. And the show itself is, let me just get this, the Bible. It's very simply let's just give you the characters here. It's a show aimed at kids ages of 3 to 6. And like I said, it's been going on for like about maybe 10 years now. Small but big following in a weird kind of way, small but very passionate following around the world, mainly in the US, UK diaspora mainly, and now making inroads into Africa as well, for various reasons. And the show is about 2 kids called Bino and Fino, and they live in Lagos in Nigeria. And each show is supposed to teach about, at the core DNA, they're supposed to have like African history and culture somehow infused. And it depends on which episode it is, what kind of subjects we're going to teach. It could be African culture, African history, or it could just be science, but within like a Nigerian, like Nigerian stroke West African context. So the idea was to have something that is quite normal in a weird kind of way, just kids and a family doing what they do. So you can see you have the kids here, Bino and Fino, then you have their friends, then you have their mom and dad, their granddad, you then have their teacher, etc. So it's like a little universe. And the idea is to create a brand that is just like any other brand out there, from Peppa Pig all the way to Dora Explorer to Sesame Street, have something but from Nigeria, from the continent, that goes out. But for our children and for the diaspora and for everybody out there who wants to know about what's happening from outside of the world, the idea is to have a stronger African voice in the sector of children's media. That's one of the main focuses we're trying to get done or to achieve with the show. And so the show, because I've been going for about 10 years, is now available on different platforms. It's available on airlines. You can see it on YouTube. So I may just show you, here's the YouTube channel. So you can Google us, you find us on YouTube. We have shows, like we have episodes. We also have music, which you can see on this side. The idea is to have like a 360 brand. So we have merchandise and stuff like that, which you can see. The sell, toys, dolls, etc., DVDs, whatever. We're trying to basically if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. So, you know, it's been done before, but we're trying to provide something from our end. So we have books, music, whatever that your child can interact with. Yeah, and another thing we do is we also have a streaming platform, which is called Amara, if I can find it for you, which is basically taking similar type of content and aggregating it for families around the world, because there is a demand for African educational family and children's content globally. The issue is getting it out to the market. So we're interested in finding out ways to do that. And yeah, I think in a short, sweet way, that's what we do. That's what my company does. And we're based in Nigeria. One of the focuses is to see if we can create and fund and build an ecosystem that basically means we can do it here, as opposed to having to either get foreign investment or whatever. Seeing if we can build that capacity for animation here on the continent in Nigeria, and of course, in collaboration with our friends and peers across the continent, to basically build up our own capacity to tell our own stories to that demographic of children and families, basically. So that's what I do in a short nutshell.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Very, very interesting. And now I want to come to Lesego. Lesego, please introduce yourself and the work that you are doing.
Hello, guys. Everyone watching at home. Hope you all stay safe. My name is Lesego Foster, and I'm a co-founder of a studio called The Hidden Hand Studios. And we focus on the authentic, high-end African aesthetics, you know, like when it gets done for us, and we all know what we're talking about, when the stories get told for us, they get told through the giraffe and the crocodile and the lion. I can't even say when last I saw a giraffe. I want to see one. I haven't seen one. So that's the authentic African aesthetic we're talking about. I will show some stuff I'll show the Hidden Hand show reel. But beyond that, I'm also involved heavily in training, because animation by its very nature is about collaboration. You can be as skilled as you want by yourself, but you can't complete a film by yourself. And that's what I'm normally talking to the young people. So I hope there's young people watching. It's not a one-man show. Even if you have a favorite artist, a favorite animator, what you love about them is because of the support they got, whether it be from their artistic team members, their production managers, their directors. It's about togetherness. Okay, so let me show you a show reel from the Hidden Hand Studio so you can see what we're talking about. Share screen. Most of it doesn't have sound, but I will share sound. Share. Please let me know if you can see the screen. Yeah. Wait, d'accord. Cool. That's a show reel from 2020. We always quarterly we update our show reel, which is a very good practice, and it's something I also teach to my interns and students, that always update your show reel, because it's also a reflection to yourself of how far you've come in a very short space of time. Ooh, this is for a project called Kung Fu is Dead, which has been picked up. It's a friend's project, so this was a fan animation that I was using in my studio internally for training. This is a lot of people haven't seen this, so it's the work in progress for the Cape Town International Animation Festival trailer. So those that are here get to see what to expect. So we do 2D, 3D, as you can see, comfortable in all. It's all about our narrative and the quality that we push. And this is the service work that we're doing. So sorry, kids, this is quite violent. It's a show called Primal by Jendy Tatakovsky. And we are, as the Hidden Hand, we're doing color and cleanup. So it's the lighting, the color, and cleanup of the lines. The show is animated by a studio called Studio La Cachette in France. And we are contracted. It's our second year now. We're working on the second season. And we're doing lighting and color. This is a little teaser from our own IP called Blood of the Fella. And it is quite bloody. Yeah, and that's the Hidden Hand Studios. Thank you. Stop share. So yes, I've personally had conversations with a lot of people in here. And Nildo, you look so familiar. So I don't know from where, but you look very familiar. And Lynette, I don't know if you know about Simulocom and our partnership with FPB. It's been going on, it's been talks for over 2 years, and finally it's happening. And I'm really glad that everywhere I go, there's an FPB member, and I'm meeting you guys in very different contexts. And I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, Lesego, thank you so much. I think what's also important is to know what young people are doing, particularly in this industry, and those of you who are training other young people. Thank you. So I wanted to go to Sitembiso. You're not online, so I see your photo, but are you there?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Good, good. So do you have something to show us, you know, and there you are, Chioma, because you're going to come next. I wasn't sure if you were there. Okay, Sitembiso, please
Yes.
go ahead. I'm not sure what you want to show us. Are you going to show us something from Wazi as well?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm just going to take everyone through Wazi. Okay. So, hi everyone. My name is Thembiso Mpehle, and I'm the founder of Popeye Studios, which is a 2D and 3D animation studio based in Johannesburg. And really, our whole idea is to create authentic African animation. And the desire for Africans to tell African stories is really why we started this journey. And we've been in business now for 4 years, going strong. And let me just share my screen so I can take you through this proposal that I have. Well, not proposal, but presentation that I have. See. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Not yet, sir.
Not yet.
And now? Good. Okay, so yeah, so this is my company logo, Popeye Studios. And as I said, the desire for us to tell African stories is really why we're here. Is really why we've started this journey. It's been 7 years, and I mean it's been a great experience for us learning and meeting new animators and people in the industry, which we've learned from. Because like we believe that collaboration is pretty much the name of the game. And if you're not collaborating in animation, then you're taking us back. For the medium itself is a collaborative effort. You know what I mean? Everyone contributes to create that final product. And we've partnered with Moments Entertainment since 2019, and together we founded the African Animation Studio, under which we've created our first IP, which is The Wonderful World of Wazi. There's some art. As you can see, representation is everything for us. And in creating this character, Wazi, one of the things we did was we wanted to. I hadn't seen any like characters with vitiligo, in especially in the ECD space, which is a skin condition where the pigments you lose pigments and you get like this lighter shade. And I hadn't seen any of that, but it was big in the fashion side of things. And I figured, hey, let's add something like that into animation, into kiddies animation, and see how that would go. And it's been received well. So things like that is what we try to contribute, is what we try to bring into our animation, just challenging the norms and pushing the boundaries with regards to representation and how we sell ourselves or represent ourselves as Africans to the world. And really, man, to encourage children, African children, to practice self-acceptance. As I said, Wazi's Wonderful World is an animated series following Wazi, Musa, and Jozi, a young and intelligent trio that is that educates and entertains children about the African continent, and issues about health, hygiene, and of course, COVID-19. And pretty much our target audience for this product is children aged 3 to 8 years old, we feel that at this age, this is where kids start beginning to identify with identity. They start recognizing things about themselves, differences between themselves and other kids or other people. And so this is a very good age for us to target with regards to representation and being African in that sense. We also looked at millennial parents aged 25 to 39, because I mean, there's a conversation in these spaces, especially amongst young parents, where they want more options with regards to the content that they feed their kids online. Most of it, if you go online, lacks that African representation. And this is why we felt that what we're doing is at least, closing that gap, to say the least. And our key themes are obviously self-acceptance, culture, language, the use of language, the environment that we're in, health and hygiene, and obviously COVID. Right now, as it stands, we've created about 25 episodes, short format, 1-minute fillers that are broadcast on a local broadcaster called eTunes. And just speaking to helping advise kids and parents on how to be more COVID aware and things to do and things to watch out from, because the information that had been out at the time was very daunting. We wanted something that at least could centralize and give factual information on what to do with COVID for children. And I believe we've effectively done that with this IP. Here, just the characters, just so you get to meet the characters. So this is our main character, Wazi. She's a young, bright, and active tech-savvy girl who loves researching and questioning the world around her. With help from Musa, her little brother, and Josie, her best friend, she explores the contemporary world with the guidance of her heritage taught by her grandparents and her parents. This is Musa, who's Wazi's younger brother. He's more the adventurous, spontaneous, and very we could say wet behind the ears, but inquisitive. Yeah, Musa often operates in the shadow of his bold sister's personality until he decides to try something new and gets himself into a bit of trouble that Wazi needs to get him out of. So he's the troublemaker, but he's very adorable. And then we have Josie, who is Wazi's best friend. She's very intelligent, she's very beautiful, and she's talented. She doesn't let her physical challenge, as you can see, she's on a wheelchair. She doesn't let her physical challenge stop her from learning new things and seeing the world in a new light. She also helps others understand difficult issues and solve challenges most African children face daily. So that's pretty much that. And to add on, we saw, there's a space for gaming, especially now in the climate that we're in. I think right now you can't look at animation and gaming as two separate things anymore. It's one thing. And how do we then take this concept and gamify it? And we created this game, Wazi's Wardrobe, which is still in development right now. And the basic game is simple. All you do is you dress Wazi up for each environment that she's going to be in. For example, Wazi's going to school, and you need to dress her up in a limited amount of time in school uniform for the environment that she's in. And this is something we're developing, which should be dropping soon. I know Unfidos wanted us to show this process. I was a bit nervous earlier on because we're still developing it, but this is essentially where we're going. And here, just some outfits that would be seen in the game, just different outfits of Wazi. We also tried to include African clothing and African regalia, just for representation again. As much as we are going to be, as much as it's a fun and international or global type of game that we're going for, we also want to represent ourselves and put Africa in the forefront in this whole thing. And for me, that's pretty much that. Here's the lovely team that's at Depot Pie Studios. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. That was very interesting. Thank you very much, Sitembiso.
Yes, you're very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Great. Okay, Chioma, tell us about you, your work, and the amazing festival that you run in Nigeria.
Hello, everyone. It's great to have everybody here and for me to listen in. I'm actually learning a lot from everybody that has just spoken, especially the First Lady. So I run the Africa International Film Festival, And I know when we started the festival, animation was very, very limited on the continent. The first year, the film that won the award actually had one of the bicycle wheels not rolling. You know, I mean, it was that bad, but somebody had to win the award, and so we continued at it. We knew people really wanted that outlet to showcase themselves. Africa didn't have any channels on TV at the time that showed African animation. So in watching this go year by year, I decided to come up with something that would help. Now, in South Africa, I know there's Triggerfish. There are three of them that are really, really good. But we didn't have any, I couldn't find any other thing anywhere else, except in Morocco, and they're North Africa anyhow. So I sat down with our government and I spoke to them at length about including animation into the sci-fi loan, but making it separate. And so in doing that, I started a training institute attached to the festival. It actually started last year, March, during the lockdown. It was brilliant at the time because everybody was looking for an outlet and not wanting to leave the house. It's all virtual. We started with partnering with Cisco Systems to build out our own cloud. So like an AWS, we have ours in Nigeria, domiciled in Main One. So we we partnered with Unity Technologies for all the creators. You would know Unity Technologies anyhow. And so it's actually animation and gaming we're training for. We had a real problem with kids out of school and not getting work. And so if you studied architecture, if you studied different things, you were allowed into this program. And in doing the program, we reached out to people like you to be creators. But I'll tell you what, during the festival, especially in 2019, the Japanese government came on board and we had a Japanese day. They had been courting us and talking to us before then, and they wanted to push Japanese anime in Africa. So they had their screenings, they had their display, and it was very, very warmly welcomed. As you all know, a lot of people watch anime. And so I said to myself, instead of just pushing Japanese anime, why don't I create something that is uniform to us? So we have a different kind of animation skills. I've been looking at the different pictures and animators, the creative work everybody has, and it's not uniform. And it's okay, right? But we wanted to create something that we called ours. Maybe Nollywood, you know, something. And so we signed up with 2 Japanese companies to train us, to take us into creation. So the school is virtual. We have all the content from Unity, from LinkedIn, and the students are working with that. And when they get to the 9th month, the creators come on board and take them into creation. In doing that, it's been a year. The Japanese government and we signed a contract, and it was basically for me to start a channel that would be 100% Japanese anime. DSTV bought into it, but I put a clause to that, and I said, within 2 years, we'll go from 100% Japanese anime to 70%. And in 5 years, we'll hope to be 50-50. So it's good for me to know everybody on this program today, on the panel today, who's creating also, as well as I meet a lot of people during the festival. The channel starts at the end of the last quarter of the year, and our students have gone into creation. Currently, we have 100 students, and these 100 students have been broken up into groups, because with animation, you need a lot of people animating and creating these things. So they're in groups of 10, and each group is supposed to create one series, right, of 130 minutes, 13 episode series. So at the end of the year, we hope to have 10 of those. And for the second year, we have 20 of those. 2 American companies have picked interest into what we're doing. Right now, it remains interest, and they're trying to understand our model and see what we're doing. Also, 2 of the platforms have come in to speak to us because you know, tell us more about animation in Africa. We want more of those stories. This year, they would like to be, so Condé Nast, I don't know whether you know Condé Nast. They're not known for animation, right? But they have a huge animation thing going on. So they're saying for the festival, so this year in the festival, I keep jumping, sorry. This year in the festival, we're going to have 5 panels. We have a panel of 5 different platforms. So Microsoft is coming up, they're already on board, they signed on. They're going to talk about animation and gaming. Amazon is coming to Africa, August 16th, the lady in charge that was chosen for Africa Stats work, they're coming on board. Condé Nast is coming, and the Japanese guys also. So they all, you know, it's a big play for Africa. They want to see you, they want to see what you're doing, and they want to talk about our kind of animation that goes on the platforms. So I'm having all those kind of discussions, as well as my incubator that is growing this new generation African animators. Basically, that's what I'm doing. I'm known for training, and that's basically, I do a lot of training, both in film and anything to do with film, and now animation, because there's a huge gap. And with this scramble for Africa, animation is also a thing for them. Everybody's talking animation. For the platforms that are coming onto the festival to say, we want your festival to be the aggregator for film, they're also asking, what's animation like? You know, and we're at the infantile stage, and this is the time to really jump on board. And like the last guy said, if you're not in partnership, you're not doing anything. It's really good for people to come together and partner, because there's a huge market coming in and there's hardly anything for them to take up.
Thank you so much, Chioma. That is fantastic and very exciting. You know, we had a session this afternoon. Justine, I don't know if you could just show that little clip, which was really from the Afrique Pavilion of the Cannes Film Festival. We'll just show the page if we can pick that up. And we were talking there about animation, and Professor Mohammed Kazala, who couldn't make it today, was telling us that animation, stop motion animation, started in South Africa in 1916. 1916. The first animation in Egypt then was 1936. And in 1962, Africa was doing animation. We're now sitting in 2021 and we're feeling like we're reinventing the wheel, or that we're just starting up. So I'm so happy with what you're doing, Chioma, because I think your festival has done extremely well, so people begin to see it. For us as Moments Entertainment, we started the Africa, there we are, this was our session today. I just wanted Justine to show that quickly, and to give a plug, of course, for the festival itself. They ended today and gave us a wonderful session. Thanks, Justine. So in 2010, we started ABC, we called it ABC, Africa's Best Channel in Nigeria, on MITV. And at that time when we launched, we brought in Toon Boom to run a workshop on animation. This was 2010, right? I wanted, Justine, if you could just show that one little animation of Wazi, which is still in partnership with the Popeye. But I think just to give a context of where we are, so we're not plucking this out of nowhere. This is a long story of us trying to bring animation on par where it ought to be in Africa. Let's see that, please, Justine.
Oh, lele, Moliba Makasi.
Oh, lele. Oh, lele, Moliba Makasi. Oh, lele. Oh, lele, Moliba Makasi.
Thank you. So basically what had happened with Wazi's Wonderful World was Wazi was this 8-year-old child who was going to be going out on an adventure to learn about Africa. And as we started working on it last March, COVID happened. And so we basically said, oh, Wazi's excited, and she runs, and as she gets to the window, it says, stay at home. And we had to look at how we're going to talk to children about COVID And that was what Wazi did. But coming back to ABC, Africa's Best Channel, and the partnership with Toon Boom, we had South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Ethiopia in that conversation, where we started with African animation. And I think our challenge, as always, is around funding, is around support, and is around distribution. So after that, people went off and they started doing things. And I think you do know that the Kenyans are doing some wonderful animation as well. But that people then had to do it in their little boxes wherever they were. What we are hoping now is to continue that conversation and get into each other's spaces. So Chioma will invite us all to Nigeria and make sure we're in that space with all these people who are talking. And Nildo, that's why I'm so happy that you could join us. I mean, 5 minutes before the show, well, say half an hour, I was posting on the African Film Forum about this, that we were going to have the session, and somebody who's a friend of yours said to me, do you know about this Mozambique animation? And I said, no, but can he join us? And this is what it is. The world is so small. We need to support each other. We need to be out there for each other. So we want to welcome you, Nildo, so that you can share with us your animation and the work that you are doing. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Well, my name is Nildo. As Philo said, I'm from Mozambique. I own an animation studio here ever since 2004. We've been dealing with, we've been providing animation services for the local television and local clients. But recently we start, well, not exactly recently, about, I think it was 2011, we started doing our own thing. We, as many of you guys, we also want to convey animation, African stories, and with African characters. So we came up with the idea of getting together 3 kids. They call themselves the Troublemakers, and she is basically the boss. The ages are between 8 and 12, and yeah, well, right now we are trying to do quite a lot of things. We did a few shorts. Our first shorts of this project actually was one of the contenders for the Best African Animation for the African Movie Academy Awards back in 2013. And well, ever since then, we have been struggling to get funding to continue with the project. So our option, and as I'm sure most of you also, was to basically take most of the pie from any commissioned work and put into this project. And yeah, that's what we've been doing. Recently, we finished our short that I hope Justin can show it.
Yes,
that's been on a festival run. Right now, sorry, I'm just trying to share my screen to show more or less the festivals that, is it being shown? Share, no, not yet, okay.
Justin can show it to you. Yeah.
Yeah. So right.
Lovely. Can we see the animation, Justin?
This was mind-blowing. Is this the one where they're on the plane?
Yes, that's
okay. Oh man. Oh,
that's
sure.
the one.
Okay.
That was a trailer that I did to help promote the project because you know, we only started going to international festivals back in late 2017. Again, through this friend that actually invited me to this session, he introduced me to a few festivals. And then, well, I thought it would be a good idea to actually show people what we can do, not just, you know, show a script or show some storyboards. And yeah, it gained some momentum. And right now we are trying to do our very first feature film based on that trailer. But it's been hard because we have been doing it all ourselves and with no funding. But hey, we have to do it. We have to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
I don't know if the short is being shown right now. I cannot see it here.
No, Justin she'll show it.
If you guys want, I can share the Vimeo link over the chat.
No, it's showing.
Lili!
Rosita!
Minhoca!
Estás bem
Ricardo.
animada?
Yeah! O jantar de Natal na escola é amanhã!
Jantar?
E desta vez até temos decorações e uma árvore de Natal nice!
Ei, isso é maninho nice!
Yeah! Vai ser altamente! Bom, eu tenho que ir, minha mãe está à espera. Tchau!
Tô curioso.
Vamos lá checar. Uau!
Ixi.
Isto está tão...
Triste!
Bom, pelo menos tentaram.
Isto não é um jantar de Natal! Está tudo tão... Olha só para aquela árvore!
Opa!
Aquela cena! É só um raminho! Não, temos que fazer alguma cena.
Estás a pensar o mesmo que eu?
Que tá na hora de taxar?
Não,
Ei,
Zé.
o quê? Au! Ei!
Vamos lá.
Ei, mas qual é o teu
Zé,
stress?
tua
Tô com
parte.
fome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you guys. So yeah, as I said, this was a short that we did to try and promote our idea of a full series. We have an idea of doing a feature film, further short films, and this series, and we actually were lucky enough to be selected for the Animation de One competition for Annecy 2019, and that's and there is where this short was basically introduced, and yeah, it was very well received, but obviously after COVID everything fell apart. But we are still struggling. We are still doing this, and let's see what happens in a few years.
Well done. Well done. That was very good. I think what is important are these conversations and these meetings so that we know what's happening, who's doing what, and how we can support each other. As you all might know, the Durban International Film Festival starts on the 22nd of July. It's also still going to be online. It's the 42nd edition. And we have partnered with them for the Nelson Mandela Children's Film Festival that we do. It's only the 4th edition that we're doing this year, but we're doing it in partnership with the Durban Film Festival. And on the 26th of July, we actually have a session, a pitching session. So if any of you are interested to pitch ideas, we will have an international panel who will look at it. And then from there, the top 3 films will go to a second pitching in Sweden, where the Swedish have a project called Brain. And they have managed to do millions of euros worth of work, because they then pitch you with a broadcaster, with a funder, with an investor, which we can't really do in Africa, which it's not that easy. But Chioma, I think maybe that's something we should also talk about, because I think in terms of what you are doing with your festival, maybe is to bring in some of these funders where they sit and funders that you may have. So we can.
Yes, I had a discussion this evening, just before now, with a big film fund, and one of the things they also talked about was animation. They said they will call next week to pitch to me what they want to do. They just asked me a lot of questions. What does the festival do and stuff like that regarding film and animation. I'm happy animation was also included in what they would like to fund. They'd like to fund a lot of things in local language or foreign language, as they call it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's really what we want. What is authentic, because we need to tell our stories. It's no use, as Lesego says, that we have the giraffe all the time when we don't have giraffes anywhere in our backyard, and they assume that we do. But that we need to start telling our stories, as they say, until the lion tells its own story, it will always be told by the hunter. So how do
Is
we
that a
be?
giraffe at the back? At the back?
Oh, you
You
didn't
have
see
one.
my giraffe, did you?
Yeah, you have one.
Giraffe
Sure, no,
all
that's
my home for that reason. And sometimes I tease my international friends because I say, did you see my giraffe? I need to have a lion, actually. So as we close, I would like to give you all just some of your closing thoughts, and I'll start with you, Lynette. I think what you have done is wonderful in terms of contextualizing the regulation and how we really ensure that content for children in particular, what are the issues thereof. And I think people like Lesego, who love to show blood and gore, so they keep it for their adult audiences, but when they work with young people, they also know what the rules are. So Lynette, may I allow you?
Thanks, Joe. So I think it's so good for a regulator as well, because we're not a funder, but it's good for us to know what the challenges are that our animators, that our creators are facing, because it's a symbiotic relationship. We don't exist if the content creation side doesn't exist. So it only makes sense for us, and we do try and sort of support the industry as much as we can by attending film festivals and supporting the film festivals. So I think especially for us in Africa, it's about taking hands and understanding that entire value chain and sort of picking out the things. So I actually think that some of the statistics that we collect and the trends that we can see would be also beneficial for the content creators, because you're basically then picking up, as I was trying to explain, sort of gaps in markets and trying to also link people up with each other, which I think is the way to go for us. Just to end off with the fact that we're always there. We do sort of work with our regulators in the continent as well. We are currently in discussions with a couple of other countries and trying to expand that, where we're talking about how what we call content travelability. So taking content from South Africa up into Africa and being cognizant of the fact that the rules and regulations and the laws are different, but still trying to find that common ground so that it makes it easier for us to take content from one country into another country, still sticking to their laws and regulations. So just sort of to summarize, we're here. I maybe can just leave my contact details, and we're always open to discussions. And we will be participating in your festival as well.
Thank you. I also forgot to say that as you finish your 30 seconds, we usually ask the guests to tell us what F means for them. This is the F show, and F is my name, Firdaus, but F is also for freedom. And I'd like you to just consider what F means for you. So I'm going to come to you, Nildo, for your 30 seconds. We'll come back to Lynette because we didn't give her a moment. Your closing remarks, and tell us what F is for you. You're on mute.
Sorry. So, well, I don't really have much to say. I mean, this is all very nice, especially in this time and age where we cannot actually meet face to face, on these festivals. I feel the lack of those the most. I mean, I was supposed to be in Cannes right now because of the short, but I couldn't because of COVID and all that. So yeah, these kinds of events, it's very important. Thank you for inviting me, and I do hope we stay in touch. I do hope I stay in touch with all of you guys. F, well, I guess F means force for me,
Okay. Adamu.
So yeah.
Closing remarks. Let me see. I think basically for me, I think we need to maybe not do things the way it's been done before. I think the African context is different. We might have to think of other ways to get to that end point that either haven't been, like the way Nollywood did it. Nollywood didn't do it traditionally. So us trying to do it traditionally, I think doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So whatever means, we need to work out how to now do that. And of course, pleasure meeting everybody here. And yeah, I think we'll be in touch somehow. We know each other somehow. So, And Nildo, I've got a DVD when I went to Discop from your thing. I've got one and it's still in our office.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, and yeah, I don't know. Family, fragmentation, whatever. I don't know. It's just one of those things. Yeah.
It's me. Yeah, man. Now, closing remarks. So I think, you know, these formats, these sessions, they're really important. It's up to us to send that follow-up. You know, like as you just said, Adam, we can't follow a model that wasn't created for us. So it's about us knowing that, you know, Naldo needs help on the short. It's not about money. He doesn't have the money to make it. I've got access to 2 animators. Do you want to use them? It's a 3D show. Do you understand? It's those things. It's about keeping the contact and making the next person's show happen. So you can press play. I've got a thing, it's a campaign of mine. I call it press play. Don't explain, press play. And the F show for me just means like, oof. As soon as I got invited, I was like, oof. It's like a, you know, an impact.
You got in, hey, you got in. Can be so.
You know, closing remarks are always like difficult, especially when you go after people that have said it all. And you have to figure it out. But I think, yes, in closing, collaboration, networking, I can't stress that anymore and any louder than I already have. That's the one way that we can understand each other's problems. And I mean, my problem, you might have a solution to that problem, but if we're not talking, if we're all working in silos, we can never have these or come to these solutions together. And like I said, animation is it's a collaborative exercise. And for that reason, collaboration. And F stands for, I'm going to teach you guys something, faga the spice, which means adding that spice to what you do. Don't be normal. I think Africans, that's we're not normal. We push boundaries, we challenge the status quo. And so F is faga the spice, you know, just dabble that and just be unique.
Follow the spice?
Faga the spice.
Faga. That's English. What is it?
So that's pretty much me in closing. Thank you.
So for me, closing, there's a thing about the girl child. We all know that. So I have a strong focus on training the girl child into this sector. There are more men than any. In fact, everybody is male in this sector that I've met. Maybe one lady from Kenya and one from Nigeria who lives in Germany. But the rest of the people that come into the festival for animation, mostly male. So my F word today is female, feline, and let's keep it moving. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. Female, feline, keep it moving. Sitembiso's word, which Neldo was kind of thinking, is that English? No, it's not.
No, English, no.
Not at all. I want to thank you all for your time and for sharing your work. I think it's so important. And we need to find an opportunity to continue this conversation. And I think also wherever there is a festival that is hosting animation, we need to let each other know about it. So as we know, the world is quite small and our sector, animation in particular, is very small. Let's find the new ways of telling the story. As Adamo says, we've got to find our way. And so Chioma, I'm happy that you're saying the Japanese are trying with anime, but I think it's got to be a Nollywood, it's got to be an African, it's got to be Pan-African. We've got to find our story, our features in the way that we do it. So thank you so much, everybody. Good night, goodbye, wherever you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye.
Cheers.